there are two things. There are the data, the facts, like the reality of what's happening, and then there's the feeling that people have.
Without a doubt.
And we got to be careful that if people have that feeling, we don't make them feel stupid for having it, because like being scared in the subway is a real feeling. And maybe now that there's more phone videos and I hear about all these stories, like I know my wife, she says she feels uncomfortable in the subway. I know probably now because she uses it to Uber. But it's just a convenient excuse, But no, like some of the girls that work for us also say they have that feeling. When I grew up in the city, I was like sleeping on the subway on the way to school. Like I never even, now don't get me wrong, I got robbed before, but it wasn't on the subway. It was like there's people around.
So now ask yourself, because I'm big on that. Back in 2022, when I said, listen, we have to deal with the perception and the reality. You know, people attack me when I said that. They said, well, you know, perception doesn't matter. I said, yes, it does.
Perception matters more.
Because I was a transit cop, so I remember. And so what happens, so now we have to ask ourselves, why do people feel unsafe in the subway system?
Why do you think?
Because every day we take the worst thing that happens
and we
on
blast
4
it
points,
out all over.
And every day we blast it. Every day. And so you wake up in the morning, you open the paper, oh, someone got pushed on the subway track. Now, you may have never had a negative experience. Someone got pushed on the subway track. Then you go down in the system and you see someone walking with no shoes on, no shirt on, and they're yelling and screaming. You hear noise. You hear it's not clean enough. You begin to say to yourself, oh, I feel unsafe. I feel unsafe. And so what I have to do, as you said, I'm not going to go to you and insult you and say you shouldn't feel a certain way. No, I have to answer that fear. So that's why we put 1,000 more cops in the system. We have them riding the trains back and forth. When I was a transit cop, that's what I did. I rode it back and forth. Because we know the omnipresence of that uniform can deal with that perception. Now, we got record decrease in crime, but that means nothing if people don't feel safe.
Well, maybe it's
I'm give you some,
real quick, just like maybe it's a combination of both of those things. Like maybe it's telling people, hey, we are going to address that and we're putting more cops out there so you feel safe. And then after that going, hey, by the way, crime statistics compared from last quarter or whatever you do are down 50%. So look at this positive influence that's happening.
And
I feel like all too often it's people going, no, you idiots. Look, crime is way better. And then they're like, don't call me an idiot. Fuck you.
And I'll give some pushback on above ground. I walk around New York City a lot. I moved here 08. And I will say it feels less safe, like just seeing, I was walking here one day from 59th. It was a long walk, but I was like, let's do it. On one block, I see like 4 guys shooting heroin. I see another guy, literal piece of his intestine sticking out of his stomach, covered in what looks like shit. That's not, when I go to Penn Station, I used to live in Jersey, I'll take it every day. I see people shooting up heroin right outside. These are not things that make me feel safe, and that is a crime, you know, even then. It might not be aggravated, but like, I'm not even saying this to like dunk on you or whatever, but I will say as someone who's lived here 17 years, it does feel less safe when I'm walking through and I see stuff that makes me feel like this doesn't feel better.
And I would tell him, I was like, for a person who grew up here my entire life, it's safer than it's ever been. That's why it's just so weird hearing that, because I'm like, yo,
I think a lot of
Times Square back in the day.
But that's what I'm saying. It might be safer than it was in 1998, but I don't think it was safer personally than it was in 2009.
I think a lot of this sentiment is like, we went through a pretty tough time in New York, where it was like there were a lot of things that were quite commonplace.
You started stealing because you're dyslexic, like, you know what I mean? Think how tough New York was. Like, you were like, I mix up letters. Let me just start running numbers.
But when you go back,
how could you read if it was a JanSport?
When you go back to when they were growing up, and you go back to that period of time, graffiti was everywhere on all our trains. You should see some of the pictures.
It was crazy.
And so understand, that's why civic is important, because when you see something like right now, when I became mayor, we were having encampments all over. People living in cardboard boxes and tents on the side of highways. And when we came in, we said, listen, people are not living that way. January and February of 2022, I went into the streets to talk to people that lived in these encampments, saw human waste, drug paraphernalia, stale food, bipolar, schizophrenic. And so we came up with a real initiative that said, listen, we clean up these encampments and we put people in housing. We got huge pushback. Huge pushback. The city council passed the law that said people should have the right to sleep on the streets. So when you have those governmental entities that are extreme left in their philosophies, what everyday New Yorkers want, they're pushing back. I'm fighting tooth and nail to do involuntary removal. Like you said, you saw someone injecting themselves, undressed, screaming, not taking care of themselves. I'm fighting to say, I got to get this person in care. He doesn't know he needs care. These are the battles we have that fall outside the scope of what the mayor can do.
And real quick,
I'm just curious. We have CCTV everywhere, but why don't we have any security cameras inside the subway carts?
Oh, we do. We're gonna house. They're building it out. Right now. Right now, we're going to build out all the trains. But the governor has done an amazing job where we have cameras in the cars, and they're going to be cameras in every car, which is huge because that allows us to pick up on any illegal behavior. It allows us. We caught the guy that burned the woman to death because of that camera and that footage. So we do. Then eventually, every train is going to have a camera. Yeah.